The air crackled with tension as the combined forces of humanity and their alien allies prepared for the final confrontation against the Zargoth Dominion. In the weeks following the Battle of Elysium, the galaxy had felt the tremors of change. The defeat of the Zargoth had sparked a wave of rebellion across their occupied territories, but that was just the beginning. The Dominion, desperate to reassert its power, had summoned its most formidable assets for a decisive strike. Commander Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the USS Valkyrie, her gaze fixed on the swirling mass of stars outside the viewport. The ship, once a humble human cruiser, had been retrofitted with advanced alien technology, making it a beacon of hope for those who had suffered under the Zargoth's iron fist. Beside her, General Tal'rak, the towering alien warrior of the Thranai species, reviewed the latest intelligence reports. "Commander," Tal'rak's voice boomed, resonating with the gravity of the situation. "The Zargoth are massing their fleet near the Orelon system. If they succeed in re-establishing control over the outlying colonies, it will strengthen their grip on this sector." Elena nodded, her thoughts racing. "We need to disrupt their supply lines and strike before they can launch a full-scale invasion. We can't let them rally support from their allies." "We will use our resources wisely," Tal'rak replied, his golden skin shimmering under the bridge lights. "The Thranai are ready to follow you into the depths of the abyss. Commander, together, we will forge a new future." Elena's resolve hardened. Humanity had fought against the odds, united with the Thranai and other races to defy tyranny. This was their moment. They would not only defend their newfound freedom but also pave the way for an alliance that could change the course of the galaxy. With a flick of her wrist, she summoned a holographic display of the Orelon system. The blue-green planet was marked by swirling storm systems and massive cities that now lay under Zargoth control. "We'll split our forces. A small strike team will take out their supply depot on the far side of the planet, while the main fleet distracts them with a frontal assault." Tal'rak grinned, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "A bold plan. I will lead the strike team. The Zargoth will not expect a direct approach from the ground." "Good," Elena said, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "We'll rendezvous at the extraction point after the mission. I want eyes on the entire operation." As preparations began, the crew moved with a blend of urgency and determination. They knew the stakes. Lives hung in the balance, not just for humanity, but for every species that had suffered under the Zargoth's oppressive regime. The Valkyrie glided through the void, approaching the Orelon system under the cover of stealth. As they entered orbit, Elena watched the planet's surface come alive with activity. Thousands of Zargoth ships moved in a synchronized dance, a manifestation of their military might. "Deploy the drones," Elena ordered, her heart racing. Swarms of small, agile drones detached from the ship, buzzing like angry hornets as they infiltrated the Zargoth communications network. They would create chaos, misdirecting enemy forces while Tal'rak and his team struck from below. "Launching now," the tactical officer confirmed. The drones fanned out, sending a cascade of false signals into the Zargoth command. Moments later, the Zargoth fleet erupted into disarray. Ships scrambled to respond to phantom threats, their attention diverted from the surface. It was the perfect opportunity. "Strike team, you are greenlit," Elena commanded. Tal'rak's voice echoed back through the combs. "We will honor the sacrifice of our people, for freedom." With that, the team descended into the atmosphere, their ship racing towards the designated drop zone. Elena's heart pounded as she followed the action through the drone feeds. The Zargoth defense systems were in chaos, and this was their moment to strike. On the ground, Tal'rak led the charge, his warriors following him with unwavering resolve. The Zargoth base was heavily fortified, but they had anticipated this. The strike team moved like shadows, utilizing the Thranai's advanced camouflage technology to blend into the environment. As they approached the supply depot, Tal'rak signaled for silence. The depot was guarded by a dozen Zargoth soldiers, their armored forms a stark contrast against the lush greenery of Orelon. Tal'rak's team positioned themselves, ready to spring into action. With a roar, Tal'rak surged forward, his massive blade slicing through the air as he engaged the first Zargoth guard. The others followed, the sounds of battle erupting around them. Blaster fire lit the night, illuminating the struggle between hope and despair. "Move, take out the supply containers," Tal'rak shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. The Thranai warriors moved swiftly, planting explosives with practiced efficiency. The Zargoth, caught off guard, fought back fiercely, but they were no match for the united front of the strike team. As the last guard fell, Tal'rak stood among the debris, the depot now a fiery blaze behind him. Mission accomplished. He grinned, a triumphant glint in his eye, but their victory was short-lived. An alarm blared through the facility, and Tal'rak's comms crackled with Elena's urgent voice. Tal'rak, we're picking up Zargoth reinforcements. You need to get out of there. The ground shook as enemy ships descended, their guns trained on the strike team. We're on our way, Tal'rak replied, urgency overtaking his previous bravado. Prepare for extraction. Back on the Valkyrie, Elena watched the unfolding chaos with bated breath. The Zargoth fleet was beginning to regroup, their ships converging on the site of the strike team. She felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, her crew's lives dependent on her decisions. Deploy the fighters, she ordered. We need to buy them time. The Valkyrie unleashed a barrage of small fighter ships, their pilots expertly maneuvering through the battlefield. The Zargoth fleet had expected a direct assault, but the sight of the fighters caught them off guard, allowing the strike team to regroup. Tal'rak, you need to fall back to the extraction point, Elena shouted over the comms, her heart racing. We'll cover you. The fighters engaged the Zargoth, drawing their fire and allowing Tal'rak's team to retreat towards the extraction point. Elena's mind raced, calculating the risks as she coordinated the defense. Hold the line, she called to her crew, her voice firm. For every second we delay them, we save lives. The battle raged on, both sides suffering losses as humanity and their allies fought fiercely against the encroaching tide of Zargoth reinforcements. Elena felt the strain, but she couldn't falter now. As Tal'rak and his team neared the extraction point, the Zargoth were closing in. The team fought bravely, but the odds were overwhelming. Just as they reached the clearing, the ground erupted with energy blasts. Get to the ship, Tal'rak roared, his voice filled with determination. The remaining warriors pressed on, but they were outnumbered. Just as defeat loomed, a familiar voice crackled through the comms. Commander, we're in position. Elena had sent in reinforcements, an elite squad of Thranai warriors who had been training for this moment. They burst into the clearing, taking down Zargoth soldiers with precision and fury. Cover the extraction, Tal'rak bellowed, rallying his team. With the new reinforcements, the tide began to turn. The Zargoth, caught by surprise, faltered as Tal'rak's team moved decisively, regrouping and counterattacking with renewed vigor. Back on the Valkyrie, Elena monitored the situation closely. Hold steady, we're almost there, she urged. The ship's cannons fired relentlessly, creating a barrier of fire that shielded Tal'rak and his team from the Zargoth. As the strike team finally boarded the extraction ship, Tal'rak took one last look at the battlefield. We will not forget this day, he declared, his voice echoing with the resolve of countless warriors who had fought for freedom. With a final blast from the ship's thrusters, they shot into the air, narrowly escaping the chaos below. Elena breathed a sigh of relief as the strike team made it aboard. They were battered but victorious. Back on the Valkyrie, the crew celebrated their hard-won victory, but Elena knew this was just the beginning. They had disrupted the Zargoth's supply lines, but the fight was far from over. Commander, Tal'rak approached her, a fire in his eyes. We must continue this fight. There are more worlds to liberate, more lives to save. Elena met his gaze, feeling the weight of leadership settle upon her shoulders. Yes, we will. Together, we will forge a new era, an era where no one will suffer under tyranny again. And with that, as the stars twinkled beyond the viewport, they set their course for the next battleground, ready to carve their legacy into the annals of history. The galaxy would remember this day not just as a battle, but as the dawn of a